Hello everyone, today I'm working on this RS11. Oftentimes I like to get normal, almost brand new engines or engines that are in really good shape. Sometimes though, I will work on engines that other people give up on, like this little guy. So on the positive side, it's got a really nice paint job. So that's nice. I don't have to work on this at all. It already looks very good. It's been converted to micro trains. So I don't know what happened to the other truck. All the parts are there. So there's parts in there for me. I've got almost all the parts except the little contact strips. And the side frame, it got broken here. So it's missing the two little teeth that would hold it together. So when you convert these to micro trains, you chop off the coupler pocket here. So I don't know, maybe it was dropped or something happened, but anyways, the side frames cannot be used. Fortunately, I have a replacement set, so I'll be using that. This one is almost perfect, except I'm missing one tooth here on this side. I'm missing a tooth here. So I'll be fixing that with cyanoacrylate, or what other people might call crazy glue. Also, while I have everything in my hands, I'm going to clean this. So before I remove the shell, I have to remove these couplers. They stick out just enough to get in the way. So this is a nice kit, the Macro Trains kit. Really cool stuff. I know when I installed mine, I would just glue them together. But this gentleman took the time to make a hole and to drill a hole and have it drilled. That's really good quality work. So these is the exact same frame as an RS3. And the way to remove the shell is the exact same way. You have to be very mindful of the little handrails here. Usually I get these and they're broken. This guy actually was treated pretty well. So first you have to remove the floating part, is what I call them. Stick it to the side, in the front and in the back. Make sure it's over on the side. So these, usually people take the shell off and just break them off. But we're going to be just a little bit more careful. And then once you have that, I don't know if you can see through the window, but there's a notch in there so that it snaps. So while we have this, making sure that we don't break our handrails, I'm going to start from the back. Just like the RS3, you have to take the top of the shell off, and then you have to shimmy the handrails over. I'm going to work on this off camera. So once I had it off the snaps, it just flew off for me. And then I can shimmy the handrails around. You have to spread them out. And then they'll just shimmy around. U25Bs, it's the same way. You have to spread them out just a tiny little bit. And then they come right out. So that the body's just going to need a good clean. You're going to see the shape of the RS3 coming out once I remove the gas tank. These are not too hard to remove. You have to take your time. And there you go. You can see your shape of your RS3. two little lights out, and we'll spread out the two frame halves. This one's pretty loose. I just need to loosen them just enough to remove my trucks. So this one is in very good shape, and it has a little pickup strip, which is good. So I'll just be cleaning that. And then we'll take a look at what's inside. So I'm going to remove the two screws. And that is how it should be. Everything's there. So I won't be doing too much cleaning on that. They don't have any bearings on the worm gears, these, but they run really good. So I'll just check the motor. That sounds pretty good. Can't complain too much. So I took a minute just to clean the frame halves with some soap and some in my toothbrush. Now I'm going to look at that broken truck. The first thing I do is I will do the same thing actually. I'm going to clean everything up with some soap and water, but it looks pretty good. So I'm going to start with making everything clean. So I do use a little bit of lubrication on this. I'll put a drop on the side here. And that helps a little bit. But this engine was in good shape to begin with. There. That feels really good. So this part that was broken, I won't be needing that anymore. So I'm going to use my replacement part. So usually I start with this side and I bring the other side in. And then there's a contact strip that goes here, right here, that's missing. Goes here. I'll show you on the other truck. And then I put my wheels. There we go. And the other wheel. At this point, I actually do a little bit of lubrication. These are actually work as bearings, so they get just a drop. I find that helps. And then I can bring in my side frames. There. Once you have it in place, check it to make sure it's going well. And that's all you need. So I still have my tooth that's missing here from my side frame because it was used on another engine. So I'm just going to put a drop of cyanoacrylate. That should keep everything in place. So I'm going to make it small. And I'm going to let this dry for a little bit. This is the side that was good. I'll show you the little contact strip so you can see what it looks like. I like to take these apart like that. I'll put my nail up on one side of the pin and then push with my screwdriver on the other side of the pin to release it. Anyways, that's how I like to do it. So RS3 U25B, very similar. So this is a little pin I was talking about. It helps with electrical contact. So I'm gonna finish cleaning this off camera. Now I'm ready to put everything back together. So I'll start with my frame halves. And don't forget, there's little insulators that go in between here. The little contact strip, it can run without it, but these insulators, it will not, because it'll create a short circuit. And I'm gonna put my screws back on, but just hand tight. I don't put them back very tight. So it's really starting to take shape now. Yeah, they don't have to be very tight. That'll give me enough slack so I can put my trucks in. And these fit in very nicely. You don't have to fight with it. I have just enough slack to put my trucks back in. They go back. This side used to have the coupler pocket, so that goes to the outside. Same with the other side. Look for the coupler pocket that goes on the outside. Now I'm using gravity to keep my trucks there. And I'll just tighten the little screw. That feels pretty good. You don't have to be super tight, just enough to hold everything steady. There. At this point, I could try it on the truck like that, but I want to put the lights on back first before I try it on the truck. So I tried on the track just to make sure. That way, if there's something I want to go back and work on, I don't have to take the shell off again. So it runs fine. So now I can start working on putting my shell back on. I'm going to start with the gas tank. So the gas tank, it doesn't really have front or back, it just goes back in on top of the RS3 stuff. And then the handrails, you just have to spread them out a little bit and they will fit over the frame, just like that. And then I'm going to bring my the top of the shell back on. I'm going to be careful to spread out these floating handrails here so as to not to break them. That I suggest you take all your time just to make sure that you don't break anything. You basically have to be looking at both sides at once. And then you can just clip it into place. So these little floating handrails, they have a hole for the post. So that takes a minute, that takes a little bit of skill. You have to put the post right in its hole. So I'm going to finish doing that off of the camera. Once the post is in its hole, then it becomes pretty easy. You can even adjust the height a little bit, however you like it. Well, that looks done, except for putting on the couplers. So these just fit at the end here. And the little KD kit's actually very well designed. They even look good. It looks like what it's supposed to look like. So it is a nice little part. It's very nice to get that. Although if I had a choice, I would prefer to have the original Rapidos. But since it was already set up for me, might as well enjoy it. So I'm almost done with this project. That was kind of fun actually. As I said at the beginning, I like getting pristine locomotives that are in good shape, but it's fun to get derelicts as well, because once you get them going, then you got something to show for it. And this didn't auction well, obviously, so I got it for cheap. So that too can be fun. So then I can feed my train addiction and I don't have to break the bank. Okay, that looks pretty good. And now it's time to run some trains. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly had fun making it for you. See you soon.